Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I come back with the second video that is still with defining the communication, and now we are going to explain you about how the conceptualization of communication. So let me share the PowerPoint for you guys. Okay. Okay. Okay, the conceptualization of the communication actually is also in the same PPT file that I send you in the Google Classroom. So this is the second part of the PowerPoint. Okay, I did it from John R. Weinberg that he and the other friends, TKK is the other friend, sorry, has conceptualized the communication into three types that are communication as one-way process, and communication as interactions, and the last is communication as the transactions. Each part will be explained, and I will give you some highlights to make sure that you can differentiate for each type. Okay. The first one is communication as one-way process. As you know, guys, that communication in this process is only kind of one way. Yeah, if it is be drawn, you only will show one arrow from left side. For example, the communication is here, so the arrow goes to the receiver in here. Yeah, so it's only in one line with one arrow to the receiver. So in this type, or in this conceptualization, communication is defined as submitting directional message from someone or in an institution to someone else or a group, either directly or through the media. So because it is said that it is can be directly speak or also can be sent through the media. So it is also kind of the type what one communicator will send it to the others. So for example, like someone who have speech, yeah, or someone who send the information through the mass media also can be part of this conceptualization. And the process I highlight here with the yellow highlighter is linear, because as I said to you before, that it is in a one line, yeah, in a linear line. So it is linear from the sender to the receiver, and the source is the orientation of this process is source oriented, because the person who will lead the communication process is the speaker or the communicator. So once the communicator didn't say anything or didn't act anything, then the communication will not be, yeah. So it is called source oriented. Yeah, and next is generating a response, because not sometimes, oftenly this kind of communication is a persuasive. Yeah, so they will give you kind of persuasive message that the goals of the communication is to make the audience have kind of response, or to make you guys interact to something. Or for example, like if someone like to campaign, then he will persuade you to vote him to be the, for example, the president, or someone who have the power like that. And the ignorance is about the accidental communication and interaction nature, give and the take. For it is means that in this kind of communication, it will be ignored about any kind of accidental communication on or any kind of communication that unspontaneous. For example, like I, as the speaker in a seminar, then I saw someone crying unconsidentally, yeah, or unspontaneously, yeah. But because I have so many person or participant in my seminary, so I may not, or I may ignore them, or he or she who was crying. Yeah. So in this process, the communication is not going deeply, because the communication goals is only how the message, their message will affect to the others, or to persuade the others, like that, to generating the response. Yeah. And the traits of this, or sifatnya, is instrumental and persuasive, because it is kind of tools to, or medium to give information to others. And the example is public speaking or speech, because as you know that public speaking is kind of communication that sent by the communicator, and the goals is fixed. Yeah. For example, like someone who want to motivate others participant, for example, or lecturer who want to make the student have clearly understanding about the material, for example, like that. So you can take another examples about communication as a one-way process. Yeah. And the second is communication as interaction. In this part, you may get clear differentiation that in this highlighter, yeah, communication here is have meaning that it is kind of interaction in a narrow meaning, means that it is kind of mutual influence or mutual influence I double write it. It is kind of mutual influence. Why? Because in this communication, because it is kind of interaction from A to the B person, so the causal process may be happen or should be happen, because from the causal process there will be reaction and action, or action to the reaction. Yeah. For example, like I told you guys hi as A, then you as the B said hi Mbak Ida, like that. So it is called that you do the communication as the interactions. Yeah. Because there are causal process and action reaction. The action is on how I I said hi to you, then the reaction is on how you replay my statement. Hi, Mbak Ida, like that. Yeah. Okay. The orientation is the same as the communication as one-way process, that is source oriented, because as I mentioned that it is the communication will be proceed from the speaker first, from the action first, then the communicator the receiver, I'm sorry, will give the feedback afterward. Yeah. And the ignorance in here is the possibility of people on sending and receiving the message simultaneously. For example, like in this interaction or this conceptualization, they will ignore about how we send the same message in the same time. For example, while I say to you hi, and in the same time when I say hi to you, your face is also send an information that you are happy to meet me. Yeah, but in this type of communication, your face, your information from your face or nonverbal information from your face is will be ignorance, because you will only say the information that will only be reacted is from what I said, like hi, like that, and you only will reply hi Mbak Ida or the other message. Yeah, like that. And the traits or this sifatnya is static and mechanical, because actually it's not only one arrow in the one side, but it is linear, but in both line have an arrow, so it should be here and here. Yeah, but it is static because it's kind of tick tock, one said and the B said, one said and the B replay, and two others tick tock. So it's kind of static and mechanical. Yeah, and but it is different with the first conceptualization of the communication, that there is additional elements, that is feedback. So in the first conceptualization, communication as the one-way process, will ignores about the feedback, because there will impossible to give kind of to get kind of feedback in one way process. Yeah, but in here, because the communicators the communicator actors is not many, so they will may have kind of feedback. Yeah, and the example is friend chat or sharing between friends, but only kind of TikTok or the examples also may be kind of interviewing process. For example, like when I have kind of interview to the new student. Yeah, it is kind of communication as interaction. Yeah, I hope that you clearly understand. And the last is communication as the transaction. Yeah, it is not about selling or buying, yeah. But in this conceptualization, the communication here is kind of the encoding and the decoding process. The encoding is mean how the message sent to the receiver, and the decoding is kind of how the receiver will give the meaning to the message that's sent by the communicator. So in here, communication is kind of the encoding and decoding process that is spontaneously and simultaneously among the people involved the communication. So it is obviously different with the two conceptualization before, because in the first and the second type of communication, they ignore about any kind of spontaneously message. But in here, because this is type of transaction, so the communication is getting deeply, yeah. So otherwise that you send any kind of a message, either verbal or non-verbal, that it will be give a meaning, yeah, or it will be interpreted. Okay, so I give you a message, an example first. For example, like if we have a chat or sharing with our close friends, yeah, even though we not asking to our friend, but for example, like even though we see, yeah, not giving us any kind of how to say, verbal statement, but once we saw her crying, yeah, and that crying is a type of spontaneously message, yeah. The spontaneously message that given from my close friend will directly followed by my reaction as the close friend, and I will ask her, why you crying? And once she answer, then our conversation will be kind of simultaneously or again and again, yeah, you know. But when my friends is only have no answer, then or give kind of what, a simple answer, then it will belong to the second type of conceptualization, only the interaction, yeah, communication as the interaction, because only tick and talk. But once she replied more, and we can go deeper through the deeply conversation about what happened to her, and we can share each other into same time, either with our verbal spoken and our non-verbal, for example, like hugging, or we can see that at the same time we send our face that getting set together, or any other symbol of our behavior through the condition. So because it is simultaneously and spontaneously happen, it is called communication as the interaction, yeah. And because of that, the process will be personal, not only kind of tools or static way, but it's kind of personal because we are getting deeply communicate to someone else. Yeah. And in this kind of conceptualization, the more people join will be more complicated, because since that we have to give the meaning to all of the nonverbal and verbal communication, then if the people join the communication is so many, then it might be not getting deeper. Yeah. So someone else will be ignorance. Yeah. So it will belong to the second communication, the communication as interaction. But once we only have several person, and we can chit chat in the deeper communication, or we can consultate, have like at first how to say, advice from each other, that then it can be belong to this type. Yeah. Okay. And because of this kind of spontaneously and simultaneously, the interpretation here, or how the meaning is given, is cannot be fully controlled, because as you know that people has different values, different culture, and also different way on how we have a way of life, for example. So we cannot control the meaning, even though, for example, like I'm not have kind of intentional to speak rude to our friends, but it is kind of joke, for example, but suddenly he getting anger or getting angry with me, and I don't know how and why. Yeah. So in the communication, in this type of conceptualization of communication, this kind of process on how receiver give the meaning on the message from the communicator, it cannot be fully controlled by the communicator. Yeah. So please take a note or highlight that it is also kind of a principle of communication that we will study in the next meeting. Yeah. Okay. In here, it's also different with the two kind of conceptualization before, because the orientation here is receiver. Why? Because because the one who will give the meaning is receiver, right? So as I said to you through the example before, that once the receiver give the meaning spontaneously and simultaneously, and she or he want to go or have kind of deeply conversation, that we can make the communication happen. But once they only say something in a short answer, then it cannot be. Yeah. So the orientation here is the receiver, because she or he will be the one who be kind of direction on the communication will be. Yeah. And next, the trait. Yeah, it is kind of intersubjective, because I cheated from Rosengren that he said that in this type of communication, the human will do full how to say, this is kind of full human communication, because we as human will interpret all of the symbol, all of the icon, and also all of the verbal and non-verbal message that will followed into the process of communication. And it is also kind of dynamic process and mutual influence process, because each of us will make kind of transaction that we will share our information again and again. It's like a routine, yeah, circle. And it more suitable for face-to-face communication, since I said to you guys that we not only give the meaning through the voice or verbal communication, but also the non-verbal communication. So face-to-face communication will help you in getting deeply conversation or deeply communication process. Yeah. So it is the reason why in this pandemic era, yeah, some of the students also have kind of conversation to me and say that I have no friends, Maida. I have no close friends till now, because once he or she said that it is hard to share deep on sharing deeply story to their friends, yeah, because they only have kind of interactive process of communication, TikTok. They say that it is hard to have kind of a deeply conversation, since they cannot touch, for example, they cannot have kind of meeting, for example, like sister and sister hug, maybe in a sad moment, yeah, or anything, yeah. So it is the type of the communication in this pandemic era. But I think I suggest you guys to survive, because since we have Zoom, since we have video call, yeah, so you can do it. You can I'm sure that you can do, since if you, yeah, with the notes, if you want to open yourself to the other friends, yeah. Okay, it's only intermezzo, so we go to the next point. The communication type here is intentional and unintentional. So intentional because the communication will be come from the awareness, yeah. So it will be intentional, and the unintentional because it may also kind of unspontaneously message. Okay, in this communication actors, each of the communication actors will be the sender and also the receiver. For example, like if I say something, then I also will be receiver, yeah, from what you say, like that, secara bergantian, apa, changing, sender receiver, like that. And it's kind of be a communicator also, or the actors of communication also kind of active in how they interpret the message. And interdependence, yeah, because interdependence means that it will not happen if one of you close the process of communication. Yeah. So one thing that should be underlined, that this communication should be interdependency. So one person will interdepend on the other, so, to get the reciprocity. Okay. And it also interconnected with the people and the environment. Yeah, the example is, I said before, it's kind of close friend discussion or sharing, or for example, like what I said to you before as the intermezzo about how the academic lecturer or the academic supervisor give you advices on your life, or maybe your academic life, your friends life, yeah, like that. Okay, any question? Please to write down on the Google Classroom, then I will know how deep your understand about this material. Thank you, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Stay healthy.